I am the Philosophical Bachelor, and today I'm going to read the preface and first chapter of my sci-fi book, Xperience the Revolution. It is a fictional story of future technologies, politics, hopes, and dreams. Each chapter opens with an epigraph, with a quote.
Experience. In that, all our knowledge is founded, wrote John Locke in An Essay Concerning Human Understanding. In 1974, eminent philosopher Robert Nozick proposed a thought experiment on an experience machine. People can have any experience they desire when plugged into this hypothetical machine. The machine produces such immersive experiences that those plugged in will not even realize that they are plugged into a machine. He thought that after considering the idea, people would reject being plugged in, except perhaps to have a short holiday. He did not consider that one day, such a machine will be possible to produce. He also overestimated people's love of reality. Chapter 1. The illusion occurs because the human mind is capable of producing illusory experiences when properly stimulated, wrote Paul Feyerabend in The Gaines Method. A whole sub-industry had sprung up around the offerings of the Ant Corporation. Legions of consultants, like vultures seeking carrion, were available to help their clients design the ultimate experience. Cinemas, once showing the latest exquisitely produced blockbuster from the movie capitals of the world, now had special halls for broke voyeurs to vicariously ride along on the experiences of those plugged in, who were known as hosts, since they hosted the experiences in their minds. The hosts could, for a most reasonable price, connect to the machines. Each machine was a bank of ultra-supercomputers which created a completely immersive experience of your desire, giving you one hell of a ride for a duration and depth packaged to fit your budget. At first considered a fringe entertainment technology, the machines had become a major pillar of the Mutatulian economy. Realizing they had a money-generating behemoth on their hands, the Mutatulian government were quick to restrict the sale and movement of Angkor's technologies beyond its small island borders. Angkor welcomed this move. Its managers had failed to anticipate the backlash and crackdowns that greeted their first generation of machines. Religious leaders whipped up their followers who took to the streets to block the entrances to the entertainment complexes. Politicians, seeing the opportunity to grab votes, launched political rallies centered around the dangers of what had quickly become known as ant machines and then later simply machines. In Mutatuli, however, the large tax contributions of Angkor soothed the potential for outrage among its policymakers. In the early days of Angkor, David Spinoza Boetius, the company's founder, had secret meetings with Mutatuli's chief ministers. Among the top minds of his generation, DSB was not only a technology wizard. His speech could stir people's hearts, convincing the best of friends to fight or the worst of enemies to live in peace. DSB knew he had this power since he was a child, when he persuaded his parents to get him the latest computing devices even as they struggled to make ends meet. Mutatuli was a barren island in the middle of a third world archipelago. The country's tax haven status was what filled its coffers. Offshore funds and shell companies were welcomed to incorporate on the island for a modest annual fee, after which the venerated state of Mutatuli left them in peace to generate their profits at home or elsewhere. With such a constitution, Mutatuli was ideally suited to be home to a company like Angkor, whose technologies generated the greatest but also the darkest fantasies of its clients as long as the tax revenues kept rolling in. The monopoly on Angkor's technologies by Mutatuli suited it well too. Angkor was in addition a major generator of tourism dollars, with people flying in from all over the world just to plug into their machines. All these high net worth guests require a fleet of the best services money can buy. Already paying top dollar to Angkor for premium machine packages, they needed the highest end nutrition plumbing and aesthetic treatment services. Just because you were plugged in did not mean that your hair stopped growing and that your skin could take care of itself. You continued to age, and if you did not maintain yourself, looks could fade. No one wanted to return home only to discover their lovers had moved on. While those moments out of the machines were not long, such valuable customers required the most comfortable transportation if it was only to get to the airport. Mutatuli did not have much in terms of authentic local craft, though the ecosystem serving the rich had managed to attract the best jewelry makers to set up shop alongside the most fashionable luxury brands, all offering their fares at attractive prices, hard to match elsewhere given the generous tax regimes designed to draw all comers. Such a possibility of a symbiotic relationship between Angkor and Mutatuli was not lost on Mutatuli's government officials. In any case, DSB pointed it out starkly to them. A win-win relationship was the best kind. Besides, Mutatuli was not the only country willing to be home to Angkor. While Mutatuli was a pioneer, copycat tax technology havens had sprung up around the world. DSB was not born in Mutatuli. A native of Xanadu, his family fled their oppressive land to the west when he was young. With barely any money but a stomach full of hope, his parents pursued their dreams. These dreams were simple ones: to give David and his siblings the life they never had. Their children were their fortune. David, 5 years old when they landed on the shores of the Mediterranean, quickly picked up the language of their new homeland in the way only young children could. Even while living in a tent in a refugee camp in Belgium, he was by the age of 10 helping the camp's officials with the endless interviews and often pressing requests from the refugees. The camp's inhabitants all knew him by name, even the new arrivals. While he did not always know who they were, such were the teeming masses seeking refuge in the camp every day. The officials liked the boy. One took a shining to him. Himself childless, he saw David's potential, even forking out his own money to help fund David's education. By 15, David's intellectual attainment had caught the attention of European talent officers. A polymath, David became a programming expert within 3 years at the elite schools of the continent, creating his first Turing-defeating machine by the time he started university. He sharpened his mind on the diet of mathematics and philosophy there. He turned down an academic career despite graduating summa cum laude at Cambridge. By then, the DSB moniker had stuck to him. Only his closest friends and his family dared call him David. Everyone else knew him as DSB. I hope you have enjoyed this first chapter of Xperience the Revolution. This is my first book-length work of fiction, so thank you for tuning in and giving it a chance. A new chapter will be released every week, so please stay tuned for chapter 2. I will also post the text of each chapter every week on my blog, so if you wish to read along, please find the link in the description. Please leave me a comment, like and subscribe to the Philosophical Bachelor channel, and please share this video so that others may enjoy my book also. Thank you.